Today, we have a special guest who's willing to share her story on life with sole custody. She's going to break down how she got sole custody over her daughter, as well as the pros and cons she's experienced with having to play the role of both mom and dad. So grab your drinks, pop in those headphones, especially if you have little ones around, and let's dive right into episode 65. Cheers!
Cheers!
All right.
We're having tea.
All right. Thank you, Brittany, for being with us today. Okay, so let's just dive in. What is the difference between sole legal custody and sole physical custody?
So sole physical custody means that one of the parents that's been assigned to be like the person in charge, like the whole custody, physical being of the child, they get the child. And the other parent party does not necessarily get to be in charge of that child. Like they will have all the responsibility, the child will live with them. And that is what I have.
So you have both, or you
Yes.
have? Oh, okay. And is it hard to get both?
Oh yeah. Especially I've had sole physical and sole legal, and legal means that I get to make the choices and different things that require, like, normally two parents will have to come together to make a determination on, a kid's well-being, whether it's medical or we have to go to court for some reason, anything like that. So the legal, obligations, I would normally have to have a partner that I discuss things about my child with before we can move forward. I'd have to have them sign off and all that. But what it is for legal, I don't. Okay. So I have both, and it's extremely hard to get. I've had both for 13 years because of, I know we're going to get into it, but I do have both.
Okay, so let's just jump into it. So why did you decide that you wanted sole custody?
So it almost was decided for me. And I say that because just being a parent and dealing with your lawyers, the judge, and the donor, which is also known as the father, or whatever
however you want to put it. Huh?
Yeah, so mine is called a donor at this point because let's just, But ask that question one more time. I'm sorry. Like my heart's racing, like talking about this a little bit. But it's healing. It's healing for me to talk about it. But just ask one more time. Let me
how did you decide?
Yeah, how did you decide that you wanted to take it to that level? To get sole?
I didn't. Mm-hmm. It was presented to us after my daughter's arm got broken in their care. And she was 10 months. And so she had been in a to get to that part of it, lawyers, emergency meetings, everything had to be called. Like we went in, child, services it was a lot, so when you go to court and you're presenting, and not me, but actually my lawyer, which at 21 years old, let me just back up and say, that is a lot. Like, I still felt like I was just in high school. Like, I felt like all this is new. I'm a new parent for the very first time, and all this is happening in less than a year of me having a child. And in order to get to this level, the lawyer had to present it, the judge had to agree with it, and so did he. Like, we could have battled for it, but at this point, he knew because of how many times we've gone to court, how many times they messed up.
It's okay.
We're good with cussing.
Okay. The restraining orders. Literally all these things get taken into account. And they've given him chances from, being court monitored by someone. There's so many levels. And please understand that the courts try to keep families together. They try to keep, a child with both parents, no matter what we have going on, because I'm in there. And here's the most embarrassing part. Everybody has to know what's going on with you. You don't get these closed meetings. I'm sitting in the court waiting for us to be called, and they're on one side, I'm on one side, but then you have all these people that are ahead of you to be called for on the docket for the day, and all these people behind you. And then you hear some of the petty stuff going on, and you're like, I know I'm not sitting in here with these people, and she's fighting her baby daddy's mom, and and you see why the judge has such a hard time making that judgment call to say, like, okay, I'm gonna approve for this, because people are petty. You know what I'm saying? I'm, biased, but I was not being petty in that regard. You know what I mean? Like, we were having things that were out of my control happen that kept making us have to go to court. And it's very stressful. Like, my heart races talking about it, because it takes you back to all that. And I'm reminded every day of my choices, of what the judge's choice was, of what their choice was, the donor side. And then I see my baby every day, you know what I mean? And so I say that to say it is very, very difficult for them to come to the conclusion that a child should be with one parent with no formal communication. Although they do allow it, it's court monitored. The person has to go through all of these hoops to prove to the court that they are qualified, and they get reprimanded, honestly. To have in our situation, for that to happen, he was getting reprimanded in the courts, you know what I mean? So and it's embarrassing having people sit there to show this is who I chose, or this is a situation that we could not work out because now look, my child, here's the x-rays, here's this and that, child services reports. It's too much. But I say that to say again, everything gets taken into account. And unfortunately, because of the way things have been going, in recent years, mental health, safety, the pandemic, they're taking, this is very serious, that they're not playing any games. They're not doing all the steps that they did for us 13 years ago. They're pulling kids because, you've seen the news and different things, they're pulling the kids from these homes and making people go through these steps to prove you are a fit parent, so.
And how old was your daughter when you got the sole custody approved?
I would say, I think she was about 10 months, but it took, it took, because our situation was pretty severe.
Okay.
It took just a few months to get there, because it was every quarter, every police report, just so many things evolved to get there. You know what I'm saying? And that's not what I wanted, but it was making everybody scared. Everybody, the judge then had to, I would say that I feel for the judges in these circumstances. You know what I'm saying? I feel for my baby too, because it's so hard to I made the choice to choose who her father was going to be. And because of that, she suffered in certain ways, you know what I mean? And the situation just escalated very, very quickly. Literally from the week after I had her, and then it just was on a roller coaster ride to hell. And then, 2 years after that, they get opportunities to visit. They are court monitored. Just because you have sole physical and legal custody does not necessarily mean the parent does not get to see the child. It's just not at their will necessarily. Where we could have decided, you're going to have this time, I tried, you know what I mean? People, it may be an ego thing. I don't know. I can't really tell you, you know what I mean? But just certain things come up, and that's how it pans out.
And how did her dad react? Was he willing to let you have sole custody, or did he fight you? And does he continue to fight you?
Okay. No, he does not continue to fight me. Mm-hmm. I actually have not talked to him in maybe 10, 11 years.
And your daughter's how old now? Just to give our
13.
Guests. 13. Okay, listeners.
Yeah, so she's 13. We haven't had communication in that amount of time directly. He's had communication where at one point, up until she was 2, he was seeing her. Mm-hmm. Inconsistently, irregularly, which was concern for the courts and stuff, with a court-appointed monitor. But you know, you kind of get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, it's been a very long time and we don't communicate at all.
And does he see her at all after 2? After her being 2 years old, he hasn't seen her since she was 2?
Nope. When the child support disappeared, so did he, which also gave me some peace of mind because the drama kind of, you know what I'm saying? Like I was, you know, I'm telling you, like talking about it, it makes my heart race because it does bring back up all of those scary feelings of you don't know what's going to happen. I don't care that she's in the custody of him with the court-appointed monitor who is an elderly lady. Like these people all the time run off with your kid. That peace of mind of when he disappeared, we are not fighting over her. We are not going back and forth to court. And that peace of mind is priceless. You know?
Then, all right, so you're saying it's worth you not getting child support for her or any monetary assistance for her from him to have that peace of mind, to have the full control over your daughter and, you know, her safety.
It has its moments, but I mean, like in the, you know, big picture, yes. Like it's worth it. I will struggle. I will work 17 jobs. You know what I mean? Like I will do what I have to just to be a mama bear, to take care of my kids and to make sure that whatever she needs. And like after all of this, I poured my whole person into her. I was already doing that, you know, growing your baby, bonding and all that stuff. But when they come out and now you're totally responsible for this person, you don't want anything to happen. You know, she's, you know, slid off the slide too fast or done different things like that. And you're like, ah! Or she's learning how to walk, you know, just different things make you like nervous, like every step of the way. And I'm not a smothering type of parent, you know what I mean? But you still have those fears. Like you don't want to get taken to court if she gets a scrape or, you know what I mean? Literally the smallest things you don't know. And these are normal things that happen to people, to kids, to us. We trip over something every day. You know what I mean? Like, and in 2-parent homes and you're with somebody, you guys don't sit and think, oh my God, if you know, he gets hurt on the stairs, if he gets hurt in softball, like what is going to happen, or baseball or whatever the sport is, like you don't know what the other parent is going to be trying to take you to court for. I no longer have to worry about that.
Okay.
But during the time when you're seeing each other, that is something that you do have to worry about because people are vengeful. And honestly, again, I was almost forced into the predicament because of the things he was doing when she was in his custody. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, I didn't want to have to do all of that.
Right.
But it was encouraged. It was encouraged through the courts. It was encouraged. I mean, honestly, we had to sit down with us, the lawyers, like we had to sit in a room, talk it out. We've done all of the mediation, the this and that they make you. There are so many steps, just so that people have a very clear understanding. There are so many steps, so many opportunities where you have to miss work, you're late to work, you're, you know, school, whatever it is that you're doing just to get to the point that I'm at. And it's a headache, it's stressful, and it's 100% worth it when your child is safe.
Yeah.
And now that so much time has gone by, and if he like wanted to change his mind and wanted to fight you for some type of custody, could he do that? And would he have to go through loops and like you were saying?
Yes. It's my understanding that people do have the opportunity to reach out. I, after working in mental health, do not think that it's healthy. He could totally want to take me back to court for whatever, but he'd have a lot of explaining to do.
Yeah,
a lot. When you disappear out of, it's like an abandonment, you know what I'm saying? And one, you physically are non-existing. Yes, he would have to go, I mean, he didn't finish the classes that were ordered, you know what I'm saying? So again, just to get back to where you're supposed to be, it doesn't matter what you did or how you've grown in other ways outside, you never completed this, you know what I'm saying? And you're not doing what the court said at all. You know what I'm saying? I don't get child support. You don't technically need to see your kid to give child support. Child support is for me to be able to care for the child, for, you know what I'm saying? We have, the way that things work, you can Venmo me. You know what I'm saying? You can have that automatically deposited and we don't have to see or do or have anything. But that's not what's happening. So again, yes, there are a lot of hoops and a lot of explaining that would have to do and a lot of money. Like we spent a lot of money on lawyers.
I can imagine.
You know?
Has he shown any interest in trying to even start it? Or has he kind of just gone ghost?
She hasn't heard from him at all since for years.
No.
Nothing.
Or his family.
Yeah, that's another thing. Yeah, his family.
They're part of the problem.
Okay.
So when I'm telling you, like, I had court-appointed monitors, they were some of the court-appointed monitors that got revoked.
So at no point did you ever waver on your decision? Like, was this the right decision or not? Like, you know, and like.
No, I'm spiritual-ish, you know what I'm saying? I was going to church and I'm saying that to say I was praying. I was praying, I was crying, I was just asking for it to be fair. And when I say fair, I wasn't saying I want her all to myself because that's so selfish, although that is how I actually wanted her all to myself. I don't want her over there because I didn't feel it was safe.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? But I was praying and I was like, please, like, make this fair, please. And every time we went to court, because you don't know which way it's going to go. You know, you can say one thing, you can do whatever you want to do. And so, no, there has been no communication. No, there is not anything. I mean, his family may have an interest. I really don't care. It's not their child. And it's sometimes better for people to be apart than to be together. And it does not matter your relationship as far as DNA. You know what I'm saying? If it's unhealthy, it's unhealthy. And we all need to just be okay with that. Know that who he chose to be the mother of his child is taking care of her. She's doing exceptionally well. You know what I'm saying? And leave it alone.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think that there needs to be anything. There's history about, you know, this type of stuff. And I want her healthy, mentally, emotionally. If any damage happens, I will pick up the pieces. You know what I'm saying? Because again, I'm pouring my whole heart into making her this amazing child that does very well in school. You know, she's got my personality to the T, like she's a complete extrovert, like, you know what I'm saying? So, and I see that as being healthy, you know what I mean? Like, and happy. She's an only child. So she doesn't have to like share anything like that as far as like undivided time outside of like me working and different things. But I have my side has made up so much, and I wouldn't even say makeup. We're just being us. So my support system gives all that extra that maybe another side could have had given, you know what I'm saying? She gets everything. And there are other kids, you know?
That's what I was Where did you find the strength to push through all of this, but you have like a large support system?
Oh, yeah. And not just my family. I have amazing friends. My family is top tier. And I will tell you, you know that people are like ride or die for you. You know that people are down for you. Or you think you know. Until you end up in a situation and you're like, okay, I can't even like move right now. I'm in such shock about what's going on. They're like, we got the baby, we got this, you know, like, all right, now you're done crying. Get up, go to work. Get up, go to school. See me get home, look at this beautiful baby, look at what you guys did. Like, this is, you know, and speaking life into me. And because it's hard, like, I couldn't even say like I was going through like postpartum depression because again, so much happened in such a short period of time. You don't have time to necessarily grieve the loss of your relationship, of, you know, the devastating parts of you being in this crazy, toxic relationship, you know what I'm saying? And what it's done to your child. So I say that to say my family allowed me the time to process. We do a lot of communicating, we do a lot of talking. I'm very, very close with my mom, who has also played the father role, even though I have my stepdad and my aunts and uncles and everything. My mom really does what a mom does, which is, it's me and you. Just like if it were my daughter in this situation, like, let's go. I'm now the dad then. I'm whatever you guys need. Like, this is, and she guides me. And I grew up in a very happy home, so I want to give my child what I had and more, and so again, my support system is top tier family. And my friends, even new friends, like, they know I'm a single mom. They will be jumping like, all right, what are we doing with the kids? Bring the kids over and we'll do this, or I'll pick her up from dance. Can you just, that type of thing. She's very involved in stuff. And so because of my circumstance, and I would say that also who I am, because I'm supportive of other people as well. It's allowed me to build a very strong network, of people who are supportive of us.
And you mentioned you didn't have time to grieve your relationship because you were in mama bear mode. Just for the listeners, to give them some insight, like, you were with her dad for a long time, right? Like, since high school.
Yeah.
How many years before you had your daughter?
Together, and high school relationships. So I would say, like, on and off, 4 or 5 years around that time, there was a period of time that we had broken up, and then I, got pregnant during the breakup, and, just different things like that. And we decided to get back together. And, you think that it's because he was my first, you know what I'm saying? So it just, you try to make that work.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? And especially now that you bring a child in the mix, you really want this to work. This is who this is all And when it, so he's been around forever, so she gets to see photos of us from high school, different things like that. I do not hide him. I do not hide anything about so much. First of all, she's nosy. Like, as all get out. I mean, to the point, like, she knew how to read at 3 or 4 because of the school. Like, she was texting me at that age. And she read something, I would say maybe around 4, about custody on some papers she found. And I was like, girl.
Oh my God.
So then again, she found those same papers, I would say maybe when she was like 5. And she asked about custody again, you know what I mean? Because she tried enunciating it. And then she asked, like, what is Hispanic or something, because she's reading her birth certificate, that type of thing. And so different things that come up, and it opens up the opportunity for me to engage. And then it's also lets me know, like, where she is. And I have to meet her where she is to explain certain things, like, I have to gauge, what is important, what is not important, that type of thing. But custody, that's easy. You know what I mean? Like, oh, that just means you're going to be with mommy. This is what, we decided. You're going to stay. Custody means you stay with mommy, and you just leave it at that. You know what I mean? So it's just these kids.
Did you ever feel like she needed some form of counseling, like just to grow up and understand it more? Or did you mention you were in mental health? So do you just kind of go off of your profession and help her that way, or?
So my stepdad is a licensed clinical therapist.
There you go. Living counselor. There you go.
Yes. So it helped. That's what I'm saying. Like, we were talking about the grieving and everything. Like, they encourage it. They encourage, like, the communication. It's that we sat with him, like, me and the donor, and, like, we sat with him on multiple occasions to try and work things out so that we wouldn't have to. And he even talked to him outside of me. Like, they tried to have, like, their own thing. So I say that to say my daughter 100% is for therapy. She is 100%. She'll even tell me, I think I need a session. And I'm like, girl, you are 7. Like, you know, but because it's so healthy and it's communicated about these things, like I encourage it, you know, and as she grows, things happen in school, things happen, you know, outside of this that honestly, I don't think that she needs therapy, but if she wants it, I will allow her to have it. And even us, our dynamic, like together, I'll go with her, you know, that type of thing. But she's gonna be fine. We got living counseling down here.
Yeah. And you mentioned that you guys had to hire a bunch of lawyers. How much does something like that cost?
Okay. If you don't mind me saying, lawyers were not supposed to be part of this issue. Okay. We decided that going to court after the cops told us like we had to establish a civil like way that we're going to have this co-parenting thing happen. That's why we were going to court. He spoke with my dad over the phone. They had their little session or whatever. And he was like, I'm not coming with a lawyer, blah, 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 blah. So I didn't show up with a lawyer because it was already decided we were not doing it that way. It wasn't going to get messy and expensive. He showed up with a lawyer and I did not.
Oh my God.
So I say that to say the next time we showed up to court, we both had lawyers and it's so expensive. I mean, literally, that's why we did not want to have lawyers. It's stupid expensive. To this day, I have $14,000 still owed to my lawyer.
And it's been all these years. Wow.
So I say, and not just that, like my lawyer allows me to do things how, you know, I can afford
payment plans and things like that, right?
Exactly. I mean, but to get a retainer, let me tell you this. If it cost $1 million, I would have paid it. I will pay for the rest of my life to protect my child. But just to retain a good lawyer is a good like 5,000 to 10,000, depending on what it is that you have going on. And that got eaten up. They got to read, they got to respond, they got to apply, they got to fill out forms, they got, you know, there's so much that you get anxiety about even like having, that's another thing, like that's another layer that takes away from, to me, you being the best you, because when you're not whole, you're taking away from your children and the people around you. So again, having that support system helped. But when I'm worried about the safety of my child, how I'm going to pay my lawyer to help me keep her safe, you know what I'm saying? It's expensive. So again, I'm, you know, almost 30,000 in, you know what I mean? And counting if should we have to ever go back to court.
Yeah.
You know, and it would be a terrible disservice to my child if we have to battle over, especially after all these years.
So for our listeners who are considering, or if they've considered taking their sole custody, they can expect around $30,000 to have to be,
or more.
Or more, and it really depends. Like if the person has, because I heard some stories. Like what I'm telling you, when we're in there listening to each other's situations, some of these people have had really, really bad things happen. Like, I mean, the kids got taken out of the home from both the parents. The kids got, you know, just different things like that. So it just depends on their situation, because if they see something as being unfit, it won't cost you $30,000. It will be immediate, and whatever you have to pay your lawyer for that day or whatever to retain them, it can be done that day. You don't have to do all this back and forth. The back and forth comes when the parties are not in agreement on sharing custody, or someone is taking the steps that they need to obtain some sort of communication with the child. You know what I mean? So every situation is different. I will say that mine was really extreme because of our age, you know, just the maturity level. It was the situation. I mean, of course, this stuff is like public record. How embarrassing. I honestly, it's humiliating to be able to say like all these things happened and then now look where we are. You know what I mean? I don't want that for either of us, but it is our situation. It is my testimony that like you can come back from something that like devastates you, because she's my world. And if anything happened to her, and things did, I was devastated. You know, you blame yourself, you know what I'm saying? And it took a long time to forgive myself for the choice that I made, because she received things that I never experienced any of this stuff. You know what I'm saying? So having to go through it was very traumatizing. You know what I mean? For me. And it's a good thing she doesn't really recall so much of those things, but she talks about it, you know, and she sees pictures with her in the cast, and she sees, you know, just different things like that. And that was a very like pivotal point for not just me, but also the judge, because she just could not believe we were back in court that fast over something that one, should have been avoided, could have been avoided, and two, how it was handled. You know what I'm saying? So they're like, this is what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So.
And because you guys were you were so young when this all occurred, how did you pay for all the legal fees?
A loan started it. My family pitched in, you know, and then I was just, because they were pitching in so many other ways, I took on the rest of the financial burden myself, you know, and of course, I'm in college, so I was not, actually, I had relocated from my college that was out of state when I was pregnant to back to California, and I couldn't get a job right away. I was pregnant, and then, you know, you have the baby, so now I'm in college, no job, I'm just taking hits, you know what I mean? And again, you can put that on my credit report. You can tell Jesus about it. I do not care. I'm going to do what I have to do to, you know, take care of my child. And I was doing it, to me, the right way. Yeah. You know, I wanted so badly to be fair. I wanted so badly to have mental stability and peace, for not just me, but my family. Everybody's worried. My grandma's calling, my mom, my dad, my sister, my brother, we're all crying. We're all just, because we just can't believe like it's gotten this bad. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it was a lot. It's a lot. And when kids get hurt in the process, it just really makes you reflect, you know, on your choices. And I do take like full responsibility for not necessarily her being injured, but again, the choices that I made led to this. You know, and that's choosing who your partner is. So I tell people all the time, you definitely need to consider who it is that you're dealing with before you have a child. And don't think that you can fix people, you know, and
background check.
And I didn't even need to do a background check. I mean, it was just laid out there for me. You know what I mean? Like, to be honest, it's just that you want people to be better or healthier.
Or you see good in them, so you want to highlight.
Yes. Oh my God, yes. And to this day, I'm still me. I still see the good in people. People have to repeatedly show me that they're not a good person, or that they will make, you know, poor choices. And it's because I want people to be good humans. It's because I want, you know what I'm saying? And again, that's because of the bubble I grew up in, and everything was, you know, gumdrops and, you know what I'm saying, and rainbows for the most part, you know what I mean? And that's just how I choose to see things, and that's how I want, you know, my daughter to see things, and I think that she pretty much does, you know, for the most part, and that's just how it goes, you know?
Yeah. Did you have to pay additional for someone to watch her while you worked, or did you had that support from your family?
Both. Because it was a transitional period. My mom, such a blessing, actually had her own daycare.
Oh my
gosh,
you got daycare.
I'm telling you, like, things happen to people, certain people, for a reason. You know what I mean? Because I've had friends who don't have the same setup, but my mom owned a daycare, and it was a blessing for both of us. And I got to work at the daycare. You know what I'm saying? But I wasn't full-time. I was in school, you know, that type of thing. But again, after my daughter got to maybe like 1 or 2, my mom went ahead and I think she closed the daycare around that time or limited it for a while, that type of thing. And then we put her in Montessori. Mm-hmm. And let me tell you, that is not cheap, but it is worth every freaking penny. To the point where my daughter got skipped a grade. I mean, like, I paid good money for her education, you know what I mean? And she's able to attend public school, now and be, a healthy person. But yes, I paid for several years for her to have a private education where it was intimate. And again, that was a choice because I needed to make sure I felt safe. And I knew that people in the community would be supportive of this. I knew that people in the community would look out for her, because nobody knew what the next thing was going to be. Right. You know what I mean? So yeah, and it's expensive, guys, Montessori. Yeah.
School, daycare, all of it.
All of it. And Montessori was the school daycare. You know what I mean? So they go there in the morning when I have to go to school or, you have to go to work. And then they do their daily time for schooling. And then they're there afterwards. So that was the beauty of being in the Montessori. So they had the before school, the school activities, and then after school care. And so you do pay for all that. And no, I did not get help. I do not get help for any of that. Although it is, court ordered. Again, where your kid is legally, send the money to the courts, they will find her, but I did not get help with that.
So just so we can clarify, just because something is court ordered and they tell they tell the father they have to pay all this and whatever, there's no way to make them
make it happen.
Right? Is that
you can, but remember that back and forth to court thing?
Right.
You would have to do that. And that's, again, what would tackle on all of those fees and stuff. And again, they have like outside stuff where you can, what is it called? Like child support services and different things like that can go in and try to implement things. And you can get in a lot of trouble for not, you know what I'm saying?
And they can garnish their wages, right?
If they have wages.
And it was. So the reason it stopped, I have no idea, because they do that to eliminate a lot of the communication between the parties, because clearly we're not seeing eye to eye. So I was getting initially checks that were written in 2 different color inks, so I couldn't pass, cash the check. Or, I mean, again, people will do petty stuff, you know what I'm saying, when your feelings get hurt or whatever it is that caused you to do that. So because it was getting too difficult for me to process the check, they started garnishing wages. But then when he stopped working at the place he was at,
nothing to garnish.
Is that
but he got another job. It's just that they did. What happened?
She said, do they get some kind of warrant on their record if they have to garnish their wages?
Or if they're like, did he show up to all the court hearings and stuff?
And you got to sign off. We sign a lot of documents. You have to sign off on a lot of stuff. Yes. And your garnishing is supposed to follow you wherever you go. I mean, it got to the point where I was even calling the job, because I don't talk to him. I talk to payroll. And you can let them know, like, hey, I can even update and say, you no longer need to garnish his wages. I have that ability to say that, because he and I have now worked out something, and he's going to make sure that he takes care of it, blah, 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 blah. It just so happens that when he left his job and transitioned to a new one, they did not, however that works, did not continue to garnish the wages. So I stopped getting child support. And when you're not paying child support, your check looks real nice, right? And I'm not even saying that, I'm not even getting that much money. You know what I mean? Like, it just...
I've heard some fathers, which is awful, they'll quit their job on purpose so that they don't have to, they stop the garnishing of the wages. And I've heard that they get jobs that pay under the counter, under the table, so that they don't have to get that taken out either. There's
like, don't you want to help your child?
Yeah.
Like,
and that's my thinking. Like, it's not me. It's not. But they do it, and I say they because women do it too. People, they do it. to be petty. And again, at the end of the day, it would be nice to know that you made some form of contribution to your child, so that the person who's actually taking care of them, I don't want to have to stress about, am I going to pay for daycare? How am I going to, I don't want to have to get on county so that we can afford food for the home. You know what I'm saying? And of course, with me being in school, that was another form that I had to take. And again, humiliating, showing up to the county building to go have to get food stamps. They call it, it's a card. It's not old school food stamps. I had to go to classes so that they were encouraging me, like, you need to breastfeed, and I was totally doing it. But the stress of everything was making it harder and harder because, we produce milk and it's a hormone to where it's like, start pumping, just pump, don't put her straight on. Then it became, let's go ahead and transition her out. And now they're giving me Similac it's been so long, but they give you like different ways that the state and your county will help you. But it's so humiliating. You know what I mean? Like, you have enough to help out. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't choose somebody that was lazy to be my kid's father. You know what I'm saying? He was very driven, and you're making enough to make a contribution. You know what I'm saying? But it's a choice. And again, should I decide like, they can implement it also without me, and they should have been. I will say that was the court's bad, because that puts me in another predicament where I have to now go pay for a lawyer or not. You know what I'm saying? But it does not behoove me to not have my lawyer by my side when going to deal with these types of things. You know what I mean? But it's crazy. It's crazy the things that you have to go through just to survive. And I want to thrive.
Child. Yeah.
So what is life like now that you have sole custody, like you and your baby girl?
Peaceful for the most part. I would say like we are beyond blessed. Again, having the support system that I have affords us to be able to live in a safe community. It affords us to be able her to be involved within activities within the community and her school. And, we're happy. Like, she's turning into my little friend. I'm her mom first, but, she's evolving into this beautiful little kid that I adore her, and we're happy. You know what I mean? Everything has its ups and downs as far as like just growth, you know what I mean? And the evolution of life, but we're happy, and it's just she and I, and she's my road dog.
And how do you feel like all of this has affected her? Has she showed any signs, or is she just go with the flow?
Yeah.
I would say the evolution of my kid, it has been, she didn't know that a dad was supposed to be in the home.
Okay. Or
was part of a home until it was explained. She called him a friend. She would go play at the park with her friend. She didn't know his name. Again, the things evolve, and so then questions get asked, pictures are seen, and different things like that. And she is allowed to ask any question she wants. She's now a teenager, and slowly, they become interested in boys and different things like that. I'm very upfront, and not just that, things that happen outside of our home with her friends and different things like that bring up stuff that you have to talk about. So she had at a point where she was saying, I have two moms. But that was because
it was you and your mom.
and my dad is here. You know what I'm saying? Like, we have other people, but again, it had people going, okay, you know what I mean? But it was literally me and my mom. So then she was wondering, like, well, why isn't mine here? And so again, you talk about these things, she evolves, and I'm very, very open with her. She knows, I tell her things are not always as bad as they had gotten. It's just that when you weigh out like the good and the bad, and talking about healthy relationships and the choices that you make and different things, we talk about all of that, and as she gets older, and I will even tell her, I'm not going to discuss that like in full out. I was like, but as things come up, we'll keep talking, and it's a judgment call. You have to decide on like their maturity level and all that. But I sit and I will let her ask me anything. She can ask, I tell her.
Was there ever a time that she got sad because maybe her friend was closer to her dad and she felt like she was lacking, or
Nope.
No? Okay.
She's never shown a sign of that, and I would say that is because she has other male figures in her life that are so supportive. Like she's gone to the father-daughter dances. She's gone to, you know, my dad will go, my stepdad. And that's another thing. Like he's right there. Anything she needs, he's like, who's talking about her? What does she need? You know what I mean? He's like 100% like on board for her. And she's never shown signs of being sad to not have a dad. You know what I mean? Because she has one. You know, she has a male figure that is positive. And again, I say to people, just because someone has a title or a role, that, you know, a label does not mean that they're the healthy. Yeah, it does not mean that they're the healthiest person for her. So she's got her uncles, she's got her great uncles, she's got her great grandfather, her grandfather, she's got, you know, just our cousins, our male cousins, like 100% on board.
Sorry, one second. Are we good?
Yeah.
With that, can you share some of your experiences, like pros and cons from being playing the role of mom and dad?
Okay, so the pros are, I don't have to ask you for anything. I don't have to ask you for permission to do anything with my child. Clearly, she's doing fine, you know, but the cons are that she doesn't get what I got, which was, at least it appears to be a stable home where we're co-parenting, that type of thing. We didn't even get a chance to really have a family with one another, you know what I'm saying? So I would say that's one of the cons. She's never been able to really experience that part. And I say that because I got to experience it and have an option of, you know what I'm saying what's good and what's bad. But I would say that the biggest pro is that she's healthy, and that I'm able to do things that I see fit for her, and knowing that I came from a healthy environment and I am providing a healthy environment, you know, that's the biggest pro. The only con is that we didn't live together, or she doesn't get that in home, two-parent household.
Okay. Do you date, and does she see you date? I know that's not on there.
No, it's totally fine. It's totally fine. Honestly, I was traumatized for years. I did not date. I would not date. I was so sad for myself that I had done so poorly in what I chose. Like, if this is as good as I can do, like, girl, you don't need to go nowhere. You stay your butt working. And again, because I'm pouring my whole self into her, I won't bring people around. I won't, you know what I'm saying? So I'm honestly just now getting comfortable with learning how to date. You know what I'm saying? Of course, you meet people along the way, but she's 13. And it's taken this long for me to really start to feel comfortable with wanting to have a partner. But I think it's also because she's more stable and she's healthy, you know what I'm saying, to where she's now going to start having her own life, and I can be okay with having mine. You know what I'm saying? And again, it's to each his own, you know, making the determination on when it's an appropriate time to date, but she has never met anyone.
And I just want to put this out there, because I remember you mentioning you work like a bunch of jobs, right? Just so that you could also put her in all of these extracurricular activities, you know, like dance and all of this. Like, yeah, that's awesome. How many how many does it take for a single mom to do all that, you know?
In California, in California, in a good community, there is certainly not enough. Don't think that the struggle is not real, but I have a a 9 to 5 regular, but then I also have my own business, and my own business is like events and different things. So I'm allowed to do things to supplement, a little bit. But before that, I was having a hustle. I was doing makeup when I can, and people would just do different things for me. So like if I did a service for them or I helped them out in some way, they would pay for a service for London. I don't even need the money. Like if you want to put gas in my tank, like, but again, a big part of like her growing up was me going to school, and finishing college and whatnot. So that allowed for, I did have to get some money from the state for a little while. But they were not trying to do all that, actually. They were trying to hold him accountable. So wherever that is in the mix down the road, I have no clue. But again, you have to have several jobs and several ways to navigate the waters to provide. And the support system that I have has allowed me to do that so that she can be involved. They want her to have everything, you know what I mean? And we're just blessed. I'm so like, and again, that's probably why I haven't shown up with another kid either. I'm like, look, everybody's putting everything into you, so this is what we're going to do,
You're blessed, but I love that you are blessed, but you're a hard ass worker too, like,
oh, for sure.
You just rely on like just blessings coming your way and not putting in the effort, like you got to hustle too.
Oh yeah. And you have to be a blessing to others to continue to receive blessings. And so I don't think for one second that even though my family does so much, and when I say they do so much, they do a lot. They play the father, the grandfather, the therapist, to everything to us, the man, the dad, all that. So, and I say family because it's not just one sex. It's not just the guys. It's not just the girls. It's everybody helping out. And I told them, like, I'm forever indebted to them, and I will 100% do what I can to make sure that I'm able to, because I don't want this to be my story. I don't want to be the struggling single mom for her entire life. You know what I mean? Like, that is ridiculous. I am going to work my ass off, and I am going to make sure she gets what she needs. And she's going to see when I'm working, this is why I'm working. This is something that we talk about. And it's not because I don't need no man and blah, 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 because that is not what I believe. Okay, let's be very clear about that. But what I do believe is that she should see how you show gratitude to others. And that is me working to do this. Her job right now is to be a good student, to be a good athlete, and to be a good, clean person in her room and her bathroom. You know what I mean? Like, I don't ask for too much because I want to make sure that I'm finding that balance of being the both roles. And I want her to be able to see, like, I'm playing both of those roles, but in order to do that, she has to be a team player as well.
I like it.
And you actually kind of answered our next question without answering it. They say it takes a village. Are you're a strong believer of that? And you kind of explain who your village is.
Oh yeah, 100%. And I'm finding that because my village is, we're helping out other people. You know what I mean? We're literally like, there's times where a parent will reach out to me like, hey, can you grab my kid, or can they stay with you, or, different things like that. And I'm like, I'm not even picking her up today. Let me ask my uncle. Let me ask my aunt. Let me ask my brother, my cousin, my whoever's getting her from point A to point B. We all work together because there's other people who need us. And everybody's just so grateful and thankful for one another. And they're like, hey, does London need anything? Or, hey, my mom went through breast cancer. That was another, again, the village is huge. And I did not even know it. You know what I mean? Again, you don't really know who's in your corner until you need people. And then you see what you have, and even just checking in, that's a lot. You know what I mean? Checking in to see, like, how am I doing? Because I haven't seen you in a while. You know what I mean? Like, they know that I'm working soft, So that's, the village matters. And I am happy to say that my village does not just include my immediate family.
That's great. Does your daughter have a positive male figure in her life?
Several. Yeah. From my dad, my brother, both brothers. So my biological, my stepdad, my uncles, and they see how, that's another thing, because I'm not with someone right now. She's been able to see what positive relationships, healthy relationships look like. And I think that is really important for her. And seeing how the men treat the women. So don't ever, and again, I saw how my mom was being treated, which is great, but I still chose someone who wasn't doing the same for me. So just because you come from one background doesn't mean that, you know what I'm saying? So we talk about this, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is your uncle opening the door for, your aunt when she's getting out of the car each time. Like, that is something that in their relationship that works for them. But these are the positive things. And then my aunt making his plate, she gets to see and it happens all along the way. My grandpa, my uncles, all that.
So you growing up, and you had a positive example of what to look for, but did you ever see a couple that was a negative example, so you can kind of see the flip side of it too, growing up?
A negative example of
a relationship, like, oh man, I don't want to be like Aunt Susie over there, because her
toxic as hell.
her and her man are like,
no, I keep telling you, I was in a bubble.
Okay.
I can't even think of seeing bad relationships, honestly. I don't know what they look like until I ended up. Yeah. I'm just, my parents were, until they were actually, my biological parents were getting a divorce, we were all just kind of like, wait, what? Even the community, what? Like, how, why? You guys were the family that had, and I was giving examples, you guys were literally like, the family that had the dog and the this and the that and the kids, and everybody lined up and you sat pretty for the photos, you know what I mean? So I am happy to say that I did not see really maybe an episode or two from some people, but I didn't live with them, so it didn't really, and it was kind of like, oh, this is kind of entertaining. What? You know what I mean? Get the popcorn. Like, I don't know folks talk like that. Yeah. I had literally never seen my parents argue to date. I have never seen my parents argue.
So it wasn't enough for you to say, okay, I want that and I don't want that, because you didn't know that could have been a normal.
That wasn't an option.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That wasn't you see it in movies. You see it with other people. And again, I didn't start seeing other relationships that I did not want until I was pretty much an adult myself anyway. And that's my friends getting relationships, or, our parents starting to get divorces and stuff. And you start finding out, and you're like, oh, like, okay, but I didn't think that it was bad, and that's not something I was saying like, oh, I don't want that over that. It was my mom talking to me about certain things like that seemed healthy for a relationship, and not just talking about it, like actually seeing it. My mom was still respected, you know what I'm saying, in her relationship, even now, even with my, and loved, you know what I mean? So I'm comfortable with saying she's been an excellent role model and protector to help me navigate the waters, as far as preventing me from having to say I don't want something as a child versus now. You know what I'm saying? Like, now I'm an adult. I see all of this happening, and I can say I want this, I don't want this, that type of thing.
Nice. So if you can give some advice to our listeners, if there's someone who's going through sole custody or thinking about it, what advice would you give them?
To breathe, to slow down in your decision making, and don't make decisions when you are emotional. If you have to, get a lawyer, because that buffers and allows you to not have to be your own lawyer, but you can figure things out and deal with the situation, as opposed to trying to manage it on every aspect. If you have a support system, use them. You know, don't think that people are not going to be there for you. Don't be afraid. And that's on either side. You know what I'm saying? Because I can't say what it is necessarily that the other side is dealing with. But I think that if everybody, you're a healthy support system. Don't get these people are like, go get them, go, you know what I mean? But like having a healthy support system that are encouraging you guys to talk it out, to do different things when it seems healthy. I think it is very, very possible that you will not have to push for sole custody unless the other person is unhealthy. You know what I mean? And we can deem someone unhealthy, but their actions will show you when someone's unhealthy. Mm-hmm. So just go slow, you know, unless they speed up you have to go at the pace that your situation is, of course, you know, but I would say like process things in a healthy way so that you can be your own person to get through it. I'm very, very grateful to have people that allowed me and encouraged me to emote and to process. Even to this day, like there are things that I still am processing because my child is still growing. She still has needs, you know, so getting sole custody, I wouldn't say go ask for that. It's almost presented to you. Mm-hmm. Do you get what I'm saying? People are going to do things and you have to document some way how you can get past, you know what I mean? Like how you can navigate that process. And sole custody, whether it's physical or legal, will present itself.
So it's not like I'm mad at him and he's always doing this and yeah, I'm just going to get sole custody. He's pissing me
People
off.
ask.
Yeah.
People ask. I'm telling you, when I was sitting in court and I was like, she wants sole custody. I didn't even know it was a thing, to be honest. I didn't know that you could do that. I always thought you have to co-parent with that person. Mm-hmm. But people will go in asking for that. People will go in, and that was never on the docket for us. Mm-hmm. Again, in our situation, it was presented due to safety concerns, ongoing, escalating safety concerns, you know? So people will know when it is time, and that is to be discussed. And I want to say that you still both have to sign off on it for that to be something, unless you want the judge to come in and have to, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It was just easier for us to not, and I think you get tired of getting embarrassed and reamed in front of everybody. So you're kind of like, okay, well, go ahead, you know, and sign off on this, you know what I mean? And it was tears on both sides because you can't imagine that you would get to that level.
Right.
You know what I mean? And in front of one another. It's very disheartening to know like this is where we've gotten to. And we were asked, just so people know, like therapy 100% can work. Mm-hmm. But if it's unsafe, seek therapy alone, not with the other person. You know what I mean? But going to therapy, talking about your concerns, I think having somebody as a third party helps, because they asked us questions like, why did you fall in love? Why do you get upset? How did you end up, you know, and they make you reflect on situations that you aren't so angry at each other anymore. And now we can focus on where we are presently. You know what I mean? So I say that to say therapy, taking your time, you know, having a great, healthy support system will make navigating, should you end up in a sole custody, physical custody situation, much easier.
And I like how you said healthy support system, because sometimes a support system will aid you on into getting yourself in trouble. So then that would make you not look like you're a good parent or fit to be a good parent. You know, they'll be like, fuck up his house or go do all this stuff.
Absolutely.
Against you, you know.
Absolutely. And it happens. And I've seen it happen. When we're in court. These things I didn't even know were a thing. You hear like, well, the judge is like, why would you go do that? You know what I'm saying? Asking these people. And I was like, in my head, why would they go do that? Like, that doesn't even sound like a good idea on a bad day. You know what I mean? And again, they were saying, well, me and my mom, like, whoa, your mom's that right? Wait a minute. Me and my cousin, you know, and that's their support system. Some people don't even have just that one person, or they do have just that one unhealthy person that has enough of an influence on them to get them to go do these types of things. And that's why I say, for sure, a healthy support system that encourages, you know, your safety, whether it's, you know, your safety also includes not dealing with the other person, you know, mental peace of mind, all that.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Brittany. I know that this was not easy for you.
No,
girl.
it's good. Yeah.
But you did it. You got through it.
You did it very well.
Yes.
Thank you. But it's and this is a part of like therapy for me, to be able to talk to people about different things, because there are so many layers. Again, how you get to being presented with sole custody, that is not an easy decision to come to. So I say that to say, when people talk to me, I've had people reach out to me who know me like personally and ask me, how did you, or what, we're going to court over this. And I'm like, and I will tell them straight up, like, you're in the wrong, or don't do this, or do it like this. You know what I mean? Because I want to show them what it can look like if you guys can work through these problems, and your kids are the important thing.
Yeah.
You know,
I think that's the hardest thing, is to set aside your personal feelings for somebody and consider your kids, you know, best interest.
And there is a grieving process, like, honestly, like, depending on what, like, I had to go through, and I wouldn't even say the relationship, like, losing that was not what I was having grief over. My grieving process was all the things that were happening. You know what I'm saying? So you need a healthy surrounding, a healthy environment. And if you can't do that, you know, with your network of people, then you need to go find it in yourself. You have to dig deep and know, like, this is what and I had to get talked to like that, like hard talks from, thank God, my support system. But even you talk to yourself, you know, because blaming yourself all the time will kill you too. You know what I mean? So it's just get it together, girl, guy, and make it work, you know?
All right. Well, thank you again, Brittany.
Thanks you guys for having me. I appreciate, you know, you guys even offering me this. And I hope that what I said today helps someone in a positive way to know that you can do it. You can be whatever it is that you want to be, whether that's a strong parent or a co-parent or whatever, you know.
All right.
So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thanks so much for hanging out with us. If you want to catch up on our previous episodes, visit mamasmimosas.com, where you'll get access to all of our podcast show notes, our YouTube videos, and our private Facebook group, where we chat with you about each episode and host live Q&A with our favorite mom tribe. Can't wait to see you there.